this is the demo for one-point perspective. Prior to starting this, you should have watched the introduction to what one-point perspective actually is. So to get started, you're going to take a normal 9x12 sheet of paper. You're going to need a straight edge. You do not need the numbers on the ruler itself, you just need it to be straight. And then you'll need a pencil. So, as I go through this, at any point, if you need to pause it, rewind, and watch it again, please feel free to do so. But here's what I'm looking for you guys to complete. So you're going to try to take your paper, put it the landscape way, and you're going to take your ruler and you're going to start by making your horizon line. So roughly somewhere in the middle, you're going to take your ruler and make your horizon line. And if you remember from the presentation, on top of that horizon line, you're going to have your vanishing point. And the vanishing point is where all objects will disappear to. It's where they vanish. So you're going to make a small little dot on your horizon line somewhere in the middle. Once you have that done, you're going to go into the upper left corner and you're going to create a square. Square or rectangle doesn't really matter. I have this large bandage on my finger, so it's a little harder to do, but we can do it. Okay, so I'm in the upper left-hand corner. I just made a square. Now, one of the rules that you should know about is that you must always use a straight edge as you're going to make your perspective drawings. It helps keep things looking more realistic. So I'm going to start by going from my corner down to my vanishing point, and I'll do the same for the upper right corner. And I'll do the same for the bottom left. All right. Now this is probably the trickiest part for people, is that this is where we actually have to end this. So right now it looks like it's a box that stretches way down into the horizon line. We want to chop that off a little bit. So what you're going to do is take your straight edge and you're going to put it vertically on this vertical line on the edge. You're then going to drag it over, make a vertical line there. Now we have this vertical line intersecting this diagonal perspective line. At that intersection is where we want to make our next line. So ruler is on the horizontal line for the square. I'm going to drag it down, and I'm going to do a parallel line to that one. And you're going to stay within those perspective lines. So what ends up happening is that after you erase these little perspective line tails, is that you have a floating box in the sky. Alright, that was the first little exercise. Next I want you to make another rectangle or square. Let's do rectangles this time in the bottom left. So I will make a long, skinny rectangle. Like that. And you want to do the same thing. So starting with the corner, I'll do the upper right corner. I'm going to put my ruler on the corner to the vanishing point. Upper left, and bottom right. Now with this one, we're going to end them again. So I'm going to put my ruler on the vertical line here, and I'll slide it down. And then I'll put my ruler on the horizontal line and I'll slide it up until it hit that intersection right there. Now instead of erasing the rest of these perspective lines, we're going to keep them. And I'll show you what you can do with them. So we're going to do the same thing. You're going to take your ruler, and you just made this vertical line. You're going to slide it over and you're going to make another one. But you don't want to go too far, just go a little bit this time. And you'll do the same on the top. Horizontal line, slide it up, so you have this like little chevron type sign. At that point, I want you to put your pencil on this corner, and from there you're going to make a horizontal line until it hits the vertical. So I just made this one little line here. Now you want to put your pencil on the point right here. Put your ruler up against it, and you're going to make a vertical line now. And then you'll erase right there. And what we just did is that we can, this is the, let's say call this the side of a building or a box. We made another side. So we'll do that again. We'll take our ruler, slide it over. Complete it. So if you imagine this being like a bunch of two buildings stacked up, this might be the alleyway where they have like the dumpsters or whatever. And you can keep going and going and going into the vanishing point. And as they go farther back into space, they're eventually going to they'll get smaller, and they'll eventually get so small that they end up vanishing right there. So I'll have you do one more of those. There, and you can just keep going, going, going all the way back. So something to note, if we look at our horizon line, anything that is above our horizon line, and just only above it, you're going to see the bottom of it, underneath it. Anything that's just below the horizon line, you're going to see the top of it. So we're going to look to see what happens when we actually cut through the horizon line. So on the right side of the paper, I want you to make a very long rectangle. Start mine right here. And you want to make sure that you cut through that horizon line. Okay. Now you're going to want to put your ruler on this corner and also on the vanishing point, and you're going to draw a line. You're going to do the same on the upper left. Go down to your vanishing point and draw a line. So you kind of have a sideways sailboat. You want to erase the horizon line that is inside of that shape you just drew. From there, you're going to put your ruler on this vertical line and I'm going to slide it down. How far you go, it doesn't really matter. It's just to give the idea. So now, you can see that we no longer see the top or the bottom, we just see the side and the front. And this is the typical view that you would have if, say, this were a street and you're looking at buildings. You don't see the top of them, and you definitely don't see the bottom of them because they're not floating up in space. So this is how you could create a small little city scene. To show you just a couple more things, so let's pretend this is going to be a building, and to get in our building we're going to need some doors. So I'll make a vertical line here, and I'll stop it below where the horizon line is. Now from that point, the top of that line, you're going to go over to almost the edge, to almost this line, by putting your ruler on that top and the vanishing point. Now you're going to take where you left off there, and you'll come down. So this is like, let's say, one large door that you can get in. But maybe it's too big to push, so you want to divide that door into two. Now you have two doors to get inside your building. Once inside there, you probably don't have any windows, so let's go ahead and make a window. Make a vertical line, this time above the horizon line. Again, I'm going to go from the bottom of that line to the vanishing point. I'll go up, and where that intersects will be right here. A little too high. There we go. So now we have one large window. However, it doesn't really look like a window. It looks more like it has a poster on the side. It doesn't have any depth to it. So we'd want to add that depth. To do that, you're going to, let's start from up here. You'll do another line. So you want to put your ruler back on that vanishing point and go just a little bit below that top line. And if you can see it, notice I stopped short of actually hitting that other one. And from there, I'll go down. So it looks like there's a window sill or a little bit of a ledge that the window's set inside. Or maybe it's a double window. I'll make a line that goes all the way to the top. Behind that, I'll make a line that goes to that secondary line right there. And one more to make the face of it. So now we have one window here and another window here. I showed you over here how it looks like if you had a bunch of buildings next to each other, with the idea that all the buildings being the same height. In reality, that's not how people build, that's not what cities look like. So how do we make these at different heights? Also having it on the same like street view. So for that, what you would need to do is you're going to start making another side of a building, but this time you're going to tuck it behind this one. So I'll come up, and this will be the top of the side of it, and I'll come back down. Oops. So I have, it comes up, it comes across, it comes down, and now I just need to put the bottom of it in. So that's a horizontal line that you're going to stop when you hit this building's face. So again, this is like a little alleyway between the two of them. This line needs to get erased, as well as the rest of them, going down, because we have a new corner that we can start. So you're going to put your pencil on the corner. It's going to go down to the vanishing point, and you'll notice that the ruler is getting closer and closer to vertical as we get closer. It's going to feel odd to do, but it is correct. So I'll come down towards that vanishing point, and then I'll make a vertical line here. So now we have one building here, another building right there. And you can go ahead if you want to put some windows on that, that's fine. Let's pretend this is a street and we want to make a little small sidewalk for people to not be run over. So we're going to use the same line, this line right here. We're going to keep that line. That's going to be the one edge of our sidewalk. I'm just going to extend it down here, down on your paper down here. I'm then going to put my ruler back on the vanishing point, hit the other edge of the sidewalk, and then we need one more line, and that one line is going to act as the curb. So this will be like the gutter, step up to the sidewalk. To actually make those segments that the sidewalk has, you want to make sure your ruler is perfectly horizontal. I see a lot of people tend to want to angle it. You do not. You want to make it perfectly horizontal. And then you're just going to start making these line segments step back into space. And as you go back, you want to be conscious to put those lines closer and closer together to represent that the space is farther back. Now for the curb, you want to make a perfectly vertical line in this very small section connecting that intersection going down. And then you have it. So you have your road, you step up on the curb, and you can go inside your building. Practice this. This is just practice. I'm going to be taking a look to see if you've done what I asked. Again, if you get confused, feel free to rewind, pause it, try it again. If it's not perfect, that's okay. I'm just looking to see that you've practiced it. As we go through this unit, things get more and more difficult, so I need you to kind of understand the basics of one-point perspective before we move on to the next.